Okay, so Michael, so thank you for accepting the invitation to share with us your experience and to inspire so many aspiring designers. And the first question I would like to ask you is, how did you get started in product design, and how did you become who you are today?
I think that's a great question because every designer has a unique origin story, right? None of our parents wanted us to be designers, most likely. We had to find design in our own way. And for me, I always just enjoyed drawing things. And I would always be, as a child, trying to imagine what things in the future would be like. And so I would be at home trying to draw the future of the next Walkman or the next Air Jordan or what have you. And when my parents asked me what I wanted to do when I grow up, I said I want to draw stuff from the future, and that was my first childlike expression to explain who I wanted to be when I grew up. And it's still a pretty good explanation as to who I am. After grade school and high school in the U.S., I went to the Rhode Island School of Design, and I also studied at the Domus Academy in Milan, Italy, as well as the Cleveland Institute of Art. And I had the opportunity to do some great projects with different companies. So I did a project with Nike, did a project for Nissan, a project for Chrysler, and started to expose myself in the different types of design for different companies. And when I graduated, I didn't want to specialize in any kind of design, so I went to a consulting firm called Evo, which is in the East Coast of the United States, not too far from New York City, and I thought that would just be a great way to start my career as a designer, just getting exposed to everything. And while I was there, I did work for companies like Hasbro and Bose, as well as Nike, and just in almost every category: consumer electronics, footwear, bags. I did maybe 20 or 30 watches for Timex, a bunch of work for Samsonite, and it was just a great way to immerse myself um, in being a professional designer, kind of like as we say here, cutting your teeth.
Was it like a playground for you?
Yeah, for me, it was literally like I'd be sketching like almost 10 hours a day
Wow.
on all different clients, and it was just great to learn the different ways you had to think about design for totally different kinds of categories, and working with different companies. I think it really, I felt like I had achieved my childhood dream of drawing stuff from the future.
Wow, wow. So you did your best already when you were students, already to be exposed, and just after being graduated, you have chosen something with a purposely wide variety of projects.
Yes.
And would you say that all these projects, even though they was different with different brands, have similar way of processing, of thinking when you was creating?
It was very much the work we were doing was a lot of times with advanced design groups. Like the work we were doing with Nike was a lot of time it was with the Innovation Kitchen, and so it was a lot of the early work that went into a lot of the early design research that went into like Nike Free and projects like that. And so it was
The innovation kitchen in Nike is like a laboratory, is it?
yes, yeah, that's like the advanced design
Does it
work.
means that it was tell me if I'm wrong, but was it the place where you was trying to find new things without having a specific brief, like marketing brief? It's not like marketing brief telling
Right.
you have to do this. This one is more. I got ideas and try to develop new things from there. Is that
Right.
correct? Oh wow.
Right. So when I was at Evo, a lot of those kinds of groups would hire us because they would be looking for fresh ideas, and there would be briefs, but it wasn't as it would usually be a little bit different. It would be more open at that time anyway, and sometimes it'd be production oriented work. But I think the reason why a company would come to us while I was there was to get a totally different view on things, a new take, a new approach.
So it's like you have your freshness as a young graduate, and you had
Right.
also your own personality, being so curious about so many things.
Right.
So, do you mean that Nike was interested in your profile because you was not only a fan of footwear?
I think so. So after I worked for Evo for about 4.5 years, and I wanted to go to the corporate side because I was curious. Um, we were at kind of at the front end of the process, and I was curious about all the other steps that it took to bring something to production. And so when Nike gave me the opportunity to go work there, I jumped at the chance, and I think that was, for me, it was interesting to obviously work for one of the best brands in the world on footwear, which I was really passionate about. And for them, they were getting someone, I think, that had a lot of outside influences and experience, right? It wasn't just a footwear guy. So I think it was a good match. And I thought I would be there for a couple of years, and I ended up 8 years.
8 years? Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Because it was so, I worked at first for Nike Sportswear and then Jordan. And then when Nike bought Converse, they asked a small group of us to go to Converse in leadership positions. So that was my first time managing people, was as a design director for Converse.
Wow, congrats. So your evolution has been quite fast, no?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I've been doing this. I graduated from college about 20 years ago. So,
Oh, okay.
uh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
Because you look so young for me. I don't know in my mind. It's like,
yeah. I've been doing this for a little while.
mm.
So I think that was in the early 2000s when I think I went to Nike in 2003, and then I went to Jordan in 2005, and I went to Converse in 2008, I think, and then I left Nike in 2010. And that was, I wasn't really looking to leave Nike. I mean, I loved it there. I still love the company and the brand, and I still have some of my closest friends still work there. But I got a call from Frog Design, which is one of the largest design firms in the world, and they needed a creative director for their San Francisco studio. And so I just thought it'd be, after 8 years of working at Nike, I thought it would be an interesting change to go back more to my beginning as a consultant.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and when I worked at Frog, I worked with Intel, Google, Honda, Coca-Cola, a bunch of tech companies. So I went from footwear all the way to like bleeding edge technology. I designed a lot of smartphones while I was there. A bunch of hardware for Google, and it was just great to just kind of like make things really fresh again, right?
Yeah. So you have been like even more carry on challenging yourself with so
Right.
many varieties of projects. And do you think like this is where you have the most of fun? Like maybe on Monday you have a project about computer, and then the week after is totally something different, maybe about glasses.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely suits my personality. And after a couple of years of working at Frog, one of our big clients was the company I work for now, Sound United, and Sound United owns many brands, but they didn't have any design in house. So basically, I got to set up a design consultancy that only works with our brands inside a company. So the brands we own are Denon, Marantz, Polk Audio, Definitive Technology, Boston Acoustics, and Polk Boom. And so basically we have I hired basically recreated Frog inside of our company to just work on our brands. And so that's been fun because I get to work on all these different products or different brands, but get to work for one company. But to keep myself fresh, I'm still always doing things. I do a lot of automotive work for this company called Icon 4x4 that makes really high-end custom vehicles.
Oh wow.
And then every once in a while, one of my friends in the shoe industry will call me up and want to do a project. That's always fun to do. But I still love footwear.
Um, so it's like you have created quite opportunity with a big network around you, and so many interesting people you have met all along your career.
Yeah, I think for me, I just want to do great work for people who are fun to work with. And if somebody wants to do a rather conservative project, I'm not usually the best person to talk to. But if somebody wants to do something where they really want to push the boundaries, I want to play in that sandbox. I remember once I was talking to a a company that makes faucets and bathroom fixtures, and they asked me like, well, what if we wanted you to make a faucet that looked like it was from the 1800s? And I was like, well, I could do that, but we probably would hate each other by the end. Like, I wouldn't have fun. You wouldn't like working with me. We would fight with each other. And I think I could recommend some people who I think would be better at that. Um, but if you want to like design the future of what a faucet would look like and how it could fit into the home of the future, I want to do the project.
Oh, I see. So you really fit your own personality. You work to make sure that you can give the best of yourself into that one.
Yeah, well, I don't want to do a disservice to the people I work with, right? So um, it does me no good to do a project that I'm not suited for, and it just hurts my reputation, right? Because our reputation is everything. And so picking the right projects and the right companies to work for is so important.
So, does it mean like as now you have more experience, you know yourself well because I believe that when you are just fresh graduated, you still discovering yourself. But now you from start, I mean like yeah from front end, you can already tell your customers, your future clients, what they can expect from you.
Yeah, I think for me, I love learning about new technologies, new brands. Um, I'm very comfortable changing my style to fit into a different brand, but my outlook is always very progressive, right? I want to do things that look forward, uh, and have an impact on the industry, right? It's not just like another headphone or another sneaker or another what have you. It's defining the category. Uh, one of my favorite things that one of my favorite things like
I cannot hear you.
uh, I want to create industry leading products. So
Okay.
a product that will like all the competitors will look at and say, I wish we did that.
I see. So you,
Yeah.
you you want to make the reference, create a new reference.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
But how do you think you can give us some hint of how to do that? Do you have some? Because I believe it's not only by luck. It's not something you have to make it happen. They might have some criteria to get closer to that goal. Do you think you can tell us more about this?
Yeah. So I think there's several things that I like to do in my process. I mean, one is to try to be as naive as possible, right? To look at the end users, to take things from different industries and see if they work and apply them, and to try to develop just like a really pure core idea. That part, that part I find is actually the easy part. Like coming up with a good idea is easy. Protecting the idea is the hard part. So now, how do you? Because there will be so many people in the process who will want to change it because it'll be cheaper, it'll be faster, or people will be scared and like they'll want to make it more traditional. And it's how I can inspire people to have confidence in the idea and to get excited about it. I try to get people excited about the purity of the idea to get other people interested in protecting it. Um, because I find that there's a lot of great designers in the world. There's a lot of designers who are better than me. Um, but I think what I have is I'm very persistent, and I won't let it go, and I won't compromise. And I'd rather be fired from my job than make something I think is bad. Um, it's hard because it's sometimes there's a lot of sleepless nights involved, um, and it's uncomfortable. But I feel like it's better to have an uncomfortable conversation than to have something on my wall that I think is bad.
That is
So
going to remain uncomfortable behind. So,
right, got to go on the wall, so it's got to be good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. So okay. So so we were saying that okay most of the time designers see this position as something very visual, like from sketches, from pictures, and all that. But you have just put inside this conversation a new criteria which is super important, which is its persistence. And
Hmm.
can you share with us like the few criteria you think that make a good designer?
So there's two categories of characteristics. The first category is skills, right? So you need to be able to creatively think. You need to be able to visualize through sketching. You need to be able to document your design for production. Those are all like pretty easy, and those are easy to learn. Um, and those are what we call the hard skills, right? You could judge how good a sketch is pretty easily. Like, is that a good sketch? Is it a bad sketch? Um, and then the second category I call soft skills. And the soft skills are things like we said, the persistence. Like you have the ability to, ride through, to see through an idea. Another quality I think is dissatisfaction, right? So that ability to see something, like this, and be like, I'm not satisfied with it. I can make it better. And then to see your own sketch, to see your own concept, to say I could do better than that, and to kind of beat yourself up to the point where like you can make the best thing you can make. Um, and then I think the third soft skill that's really necessary is the ability to make relationships. And so much of business is having a trust with somebody. And so you need to build up, to be able to get your ideas through, you need to be able to build up trust with engineers, with marketing people, with business people, so that they will trust you, even though they might be scared of your idea. They'll be like, well, you know what? He's been right before, and he's treats me like a professional, and you know what? I'm going to trust him because that's what we're paying him for. Um, and so I think those three things are allowed me to work for all these big global companies, and to have a portfolio that there's a lot. I mean, every single project in my portfolio, I would redo it if I could, but I think I'm reasonably proud of it. Um,
And
so
one question, because your position has evolution along the years in your career. How about the part of sketch? Because I know that I feel that you love sketching, but
yes.
and when you took the position more into leadership, did you sketch lesser?
Um, so that's a good question, and I think as a leader, I like to work with the team, and we do sketch sessions together. And I sketch with the team. I mean, we all sit around a big table, and we put up ideas. We critique each other, um, and that's kind of the part of the design process that I could still participate in. Right? I'm not doing CAD. I'm not doing very many documentation drawings or CMF documents. But I can get in with the team and sketch out some ideas and overlay some of their ideas. They can overlay some of mine. And I think that's where, like, in the design process, where I can add the most value for my team is to kind of like to put some sketches up on the wall that are a little bit crazier than maybe they were thinking, to show them like, no, we could go farther. Um, and then I think that, like you said, like sketching is just, it's fun. It's very visible. Uh, I try to post a sketch every day on Instagram. Um, and I think it's just, I feel like I tell this to my team all the time. The person who puts down the first sketch wins. And why I say that is because a sketch is a conversation, right? Like I draw something from my mind, and then I put it on the page and I show you the page. You see something different, and we have a conversation back and forth. And so if you do the first sketch, you dominate the conversation, right? And now we're talking about your idea because you're the one to put it down on the sketch. Um, and so I will try to jump into a project as fast as possible, in a way that will make sure that design leads the charge on the project. Um, Otherwise, if you wait too long, other people will start influencing the parameters and we'll start closing in the solution, right? So engineering will start to say, well, we want it to be this big, or we want it made with this materials, and marketing will say like it needs to have these features. But if you can get out ahead of that with a sketch that inspires people, all those things go. Now the conversation's on your sketch, not on the features or the bomb cost.
Okay, understand. Yeah, let's say a big mistake tend to do when we are student designer is that when you sketch, uh, it's more like a performance. Like
Yeah.
you are very happy, you have done so nice sketches,
Yeah.
but that you are so proud of it, but you are just by default rejecting all critics all around.
True.
And I believe that how do you manage this from start? How you put your pride, put it behind, and
Hmm.
just accept that other people can just go ahead, adding more ideas on top of yours, modify it, and all that.
Sure. I think I see a sketch is not a precious thing. Right? It's just like you do a sketch, you move on. And even when I work on projects by myself, it's just I will obsessively sketch, overlay, iterate. And so for me, it's not about it being my idea. It's about the best idea. So if I can do some sketches and then show them to you, and you can give me some ideas back, or you can do some overlays and make the idea better, we both win, right? So yeah, it's not about me, right? It's about making the best thing possible. Uh, and I think when you remove your ego from the situation, then you can have that approach, right? But if it's all about like, look how good my sketch is, then you'll never progress. So like when I show people sketches, I'm more saying like, what do you think is wrong with this? And I may not agree with them. Like they might give me feedback I don't. That's okay. Like I want to hear all the feedback, and then I can make a decision of what to do with that, and then do another sketch and another one and another one. Um, and so I think that's also comes with sketching so much, sketching every day. You don't view the sketch as like, oh, it's a piece. It's not a piece of art, right? It's a moment in time. It's a documentation of idea, and the end product is what's on the wall, right? The end product's not the sketch. That's just a little stop on the map on the road to get there.
Exactly. It's, but how, one question is that one question I receive is that as a fresh graduate, as a let's say more beginner level, how do you know who to listen to? Because
Mm.
you have a project, you might receive different feedback from different people and different departments as well.
Yeah.
But from your early experience, how you know who to trust and who to listen, when you have to stand for your side or when you have to take advice from outside.
That's a good question. And it's not possible to make everyone happy, right? So if you try to listen to every single piece of feedback, you'll just end up with something that's mediocre that no one likes. Um, I found what helped me early in my career was to find some really good mentors. So when I worked at Evo, the creative director there, who's now the senior partner, is a man named Aaron Szymanski, and he took me under his wing and mentored me. He told me that like told me what I told you, that design is the easy part. It's understanding which design to choose and how to push it is the hard part. Um, and so I always took his advice and listened, and surrounding yourself with a core group of 3 or 4 mentors is really important. And the same when I went to Nike, I was working at Evo, it was very small. It was only 5 people when I started, and when I left, I think it was 15. I was there for about 4 years. Um, and then I went to Nike, and there's 350 designers there, right? 70 in footwear. Now there's even a lot more than that now, but this is in 2003. So I felt lost, right? And I had to find new mentors, um, and a peer group of people that I trusted. And the way I selected them was just looking at their work, right? So um, like my good friend Scott Pat, who I loved his work, and so I trusted his opinion. Now he's the vice president of design at Colhan, uh, and there's a number of designers there. Robert Dolan, who's now vice president of design at Nike, um, John Hoke, who is the SVP of design at Nike. Nike. So you try to find people whose work that you respect and spend as much time with them as you can, so that you can soak in their goodness, uh, and understand the way they think. And you pick a little bit here and there, right? It's like one of my good friends now and mentor. He's the head of interior design at Nissan. His name's John Sa, and he just told me this story about Bruce Lee and how Bruce Lee's philosophy to martial arts was to study all the martial arts, and you pick this and you pick that. You leave, you pick what works for you and you leave what doesn't work. And I kind of feel the same as a designer, right? You study everyone. You look at the work of famous designers like Mark Newson. You look at the work of mentors and your peers, and you try to assimilate all these different ways of thinking so that when you get a project, you can attack it in the best way for that project.
And that's actually that's also fit the way that you think as looking for progressive projects. It's
Yes,
always that
that's true.
because like Bruce Lee last time was also not being so traditional into the martial arts. He was also kind of
Right.
consider not respectful to go and discover so many things all around and try to tweak the things, change the rules, and
Right.
see some kind of design. What you're doing is that nothing is 100% established, and we
Right.
can always do it better and find ways to make it happen. Um, yeah, in a new ways, in a new visions. Just because you got maybe a hint somewhere, you just implement it and create new things sometimes.
Right.
This is what is making it amazing. And what I like also is that it still nowadays stick to your dream when you was 13 years old.
Yes,
It's
I'm
all,
very consistent.
yeah, it's all making sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Who today, who inspire you today as a designer, or maybe not only designer? Who inspire you? What's make you the biggest inspiration for your work?
Um, and so, I mean, one of my biggest influences has always been Raymond Loewy, and not just his work, but also the way he thinks. And I was saying he started as an illustrator before World War II, a product illustrator for catalogs. And the companies started to ask him, they'd say, Raymond, like, this product isn't quite done, but it would kind of look like this. And he would draw it. And then they'd say, like, hey, here's kind of like, it's a prototype. Can you draw what it looked like? And then the next year they come to him and say, we actually don't even know what the next product is. Can you invent it? And so he started the same way, as kind of like drawing stuff from the future. And he saw design as integral to making a successful business, one, but also being, two, a part of the culture, right? So he saw design as influencing the way we live, and that companies that would be the most progressive would be the most successful. And he had this philosophy. He said, good designs are always those that are the most advanced yet acceptable solution. And I love that saying. It's so simple. It's so because you have to push it, but you can't push it so far that no one wants it, right? So what's the most advanced yet acceptable? Um, and then the second person that I've always been influenced by is Frank Lloyd Wright, and that's just he had a vision for the future, and he was persistent through thick and thin. He had times when he had a lot of clients, and he had times when he had no clients, and he just stayed true to himself. And probably wasn't the easiest guy to work for, but built some amazing things. Um, today I look at people like Elon Musk and people like that who are just like, Jeff Bezos, who just want to almost like through the force of their will create the future, right? Because they want it so bad, and they will do whatever it takes, leverage their entire business to try to bring the future faster. Uh, and that kind of persistence and thinking about not the way things are, but how they should be. That gets me. I get really inspired by people like that.
Yeah, that's it. This is how design is that pursuing how to make a better world is how as a designer we can give a contribution to that. And
Right.
yeah, I feel it's really like a very fascinating role. Like just having the idea of contributing to others is just enough to wake up every morning and to feel happy about it.
Yeah. I look at people. People don't have Picassos and they don't live in Frank Lloyd Wright designed houses, but they have headphones and they have speakers and they have shoes and they have watches, and these are the objects that are in their life every day. Um, and you think about something like a watch, right? It might be the first thing that someone puts on in the morning and the last thing they take off at night before they go to sleep. And they might have that watch for years. And how many times they'll look at that watch and touch that watch. Uh, and so like you're kind of like you're in that person's life, right? So
You see, this is why I always believe that design is really a social thing.
yeah,
That's the thing. When we approach a design project, most important is really to think about the social part, not just the aesthetic part, which is once again one of the misconceptions of design or the definition of design. And yeah, I believe that what makes you also more persistent is that you have this belief that you want to make things better, and it's like your quest, I would say. Can we say that? The
what's
quest.
that?
It's
A
like
quest.
the quest.
Yes, yeah, quest. Yeah, I like that.
And this is where I believe your persistence comes from. I got one last question for you. It's how what what advice would you give to any fresh graduate or aspiring designer to believe in themselves into product design? Because a lot of people don't dare to go to make the steps.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll tell you a little story, and then that'll get to my advice. So when I graduated school, and I did all these sponsored projects, and I graduated with the faculty award, and I didn't know how to get a job. I just I literally just didn't even know how to get one. And this was, of course, before really the internet. I graduated in 1998. Core Flat was like just beginning. It was hard to find design jobs. Um, and it took me 6 months to get my first full-time design job. And so I moved back home with my parents, and in the basement they had this ping pong table, and I thought to myself, like, well, I could just sit on the couch all day every day and watch cartoons, or I could just go down into the basement and use the ping pong table as my studio table and pretend like I have a job. And so every day from Monday to Friday, I would be in the basement reworking a project on my portfolio every day from like 8 in the morning to 6 at night. And on Monday through Thursday, I would do that. On Friday, I would make new portfolio packets and send them out to companies. And you know, I started getting some freelance projects through that. I got like three freelance projects. Then after 6 months, every single project in my portfolio was completely different from when I graduated school, from doing it over and over again. Um, and I finally started to get callbacks from companies, and I pushed myself. Um, and I got callbacks from big design firms and small firms. Um, and I went to Evo because when I met Aaron Szymanski, I just felt like I was going to learn from him, and that seemed like a good choice. So my two pieces of advice based on that story are: one, to push yourself. It's going to take hard work. Like, this job is not easy, and so you have to be able to work harder than the next person if you want to succeed. So that's the first piece of advice. And my second piece of advice is, when you pick your first job, make sure you find a place where you can learn and they will be willing to teach you, because that first job is kind of everything, right? That first job, I think, really set me up for the success of my career, because I found a position where they were willing to help make me better. Um, and I was willing to push myself to be better because I wanted to be the best in the studio. Uh, so those are my two pieces of advice: push yourself, and find people who will teach you. Because when you graduate school, you're not done learning. You don't know anything yet. You've learned like the barest base minimum to get a job, where you now learn about being a designer,
Yeah.
right?
So then one question then from that is that when you do your first interviews, is it better to pretend that you know everything, or to be totally transparent and tell them that's my work, but I have the willing to learn.
It's 100% better to be transparent, because I will, and as a someone who now interviews designers, I will pick someone all day long who is eager to learn and willing to push themselves, um, over somebody who thinks they know it all. And because I have that, it's just not going to work with my team. My team is a team full of people not that dissimilar from me, right? They're all people who put their ego aside and they want to make the best thing possible. And so for me to bring someone into that team, they need to be the same way. I look at it like, as a team, it's like we're going to climb Mount Everest together, right? And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be dangerous. We're going to run out of food. There's going to be a snowstorm, but we're going to reach the top of a mountain, and it's going to be like a magical moment together. So I need to know that the people on my team aren't going to quit and go back down the mountain halfway up, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. When you climb the mountain, it's not finished. You still have to go down all together.
That's true.
Everybody's safe.
Right. That's a good point.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much, Michael, for all your advice and recommendation for aspiring designers. And then where can we see more of your work or more of the things you do for people who want to know more about you?
Sure. So I try to post a sketch every single day on Instagram, and my handle on Instagram is DiTullo, letter D, number 2, LO, and I also kind of frequently I have a Facebook fan page that I keep updated, and Twitter. And then you can see my bigger portfolio of work. You can see on michaelditullo.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll help to change that,
Yes.
right?
We try.
Because what we do, and I think that's why sketching is also so popular, is because it's fun to watch, right? Like a lot of what we do is not actually fun to watch, but seeing someone draw something is like, oh, I want to do that. It's like Michael Jordan dunking a basketball, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's like actually not all of what Michael Jordan does play basketball, but that's the part you see in the highlight reel. Um, and I think sketching is a little bit like that. Of like, wow, look at that. That's so cool. I want to do that too. Um,
But that's the magic part.
right. And you're like, oh, I draw something, and then oh, look, here's the final product. It looks like the drawing, right? And of course, there's many steps, but it's those are the two. The beginning and the end is what looks fun, right? So.